Hi there, it's Carl Irwin, the Con Magician, and it's been a while, but we're back. I've got something to share with you today. It's actually on a very old topic, and this was inspired by an email I got, a notification I got from someone who watches the channel or has come to the channel, and they told me that they found the channel because of a recommendation that was made on the Genie Forum. I do not frequent the Genie Forum. I used to watch, kind of peruse it years ago, but I haven't really been on there. I'm not even sure that I have an account. I actually went to make an account after this, and it still hasn't been completed by admin. Maybe we'll get to that in a minute. I don't know what's going on. I really don't care either. I've actually learned to stay off of the forums and try not to say very much. Not only in magic forums, but I'm a music person. Went to school for music. I'm a music educator. I also try now to stay off of the music forums because it's toxic. They're very toxic places to be. Nonetheless, he said that he got a recommendation, so I was curious. So I went on there, and it wouldn't let me see things right away. I made an account, and I was able to see things, but I can't log into it yet. It's not been activated. Whatever. I found the post, and it was a very, very quick little blurb. It just said, for magicians and mentalists, I found this channel might be interesting to people, right? And immediately Richard Kaufman replied, and I saw the name. I thought, oh, Richard Kaufman's got something to say. Well, I took a look, and Kaufman says, maybe, but he doesn't know how to do a Hofzinser spread call. And then he notes, you can see the outer corner moving across the top. Now this was it was literally, I think, the very first video for the channel. So about 7 years ago when I started the channel, I did a 4-card location. The premise of it was that you just take a deck that's shuffled in an impromptu setting, and you just call the 4 aces, and then you have them on top, and then you're able to find them. And it's in the demonstration of showing that the cards are mixed. You take the cards back, you say you can see they're fully mixed, nothing in any particular order, and then you demonstrate, just very frankly, card control. Probably not a very good trick, but it's certainly maybe in a gambling routine kind of scenario. It has application as an impromptu feat. And that was the video, right? It was a channel introduction. You can find it on there. And the reason why they saw it was because it's been sitting as my introductory video on the channel for new people. So anyone that looks on there, that's the first thing they'll see. I removed that as the introductory video immediately after this comment was made so that the comment won't age well on the forum. People have to search that one out. But anyway, I actually looked at the video and I was like, what are you getting at, man? Because you don't really, of all of the bad calls that I've ever done, that video actually wasn't bad. Everything looked pretty clear, particularly within context. And this is what I want to talk with you about. Some of you out there will hate what I have to say about this. You'll say, I have no business saying what I'm saying. I don't have the street credit. I don't have the experience. I don't have the whatever. Whatever it is you have, I don't have it. And I have no business. Well, I'm a free thinker, and I can say what I darn well please. So I will, right? I'm going to make some observations, and you can take my observations and chew on them and decide if you agree with me or not. That's up to you. I can't tell you what to think, but I can show you what I think, and that's what we're all about here. So let me show you a couple things related to the context of the spread call and why I think this is silly. I think the comment was unfortunately silly. Unfortunately, I love Richard Kaufman. I've referenced him a number of times. He's a giant, obviously, and I love his material. I love his literature. I love the things he's written. I love the things he's written for other people. I particularly the stuff he did for David Berglas and the Berglas effects. I love the work he's done. He's someone I highly, highly respect. But come on, man, what's the deal? What's the deal? Let's take a look. All right, we've got our cards. We've got our coffee. We've got the absolute worst angle ever for this move as a move, okay? And this is on purpose. I want you to see all of the bad, okay? Now, this isn't really far off from the angle, and call it an amateur mistake. Again, it was the first video I did for the channel, but the angle that you see it in that video wasn't very good. But nonetheless, I really don't see what he's getting at about my call on that video, because I thought it was pretty decent. I mean, it certainly was functional. And being the Common Magician channel, functional is good enough for us. We'll talk more about that maybe at the end. what I mean about that. But anyway, this is the worst angle. And I want you to note a few things. I'm going to spread the cards from one hand to the other. And I want you to notice what you see. Okay, so I'm just spreading cards. We'll do it fast. We'll do it slow. Okay, and in this moment you're thinking, okay, I saw the cull. I saw what he did. Or you're looking for it. You're trying to see what I'm doing and catch me out. But I didn't cull anything. I'm literally just spreading cards. That's all I'm doing, right? And in your own mind, I want you to consider, did you think you saw me call something? Did you? Did you? Okay. If you thought you saw me call something and I actually did not, then this will get to my point. When you watch the cards go from one side of the spread to the other, something is present. The fact is that over here you see corners move into the space. And it makes sense because the pile is going from a full stack over here to a full stack over here. And in order for that to happen, all of the corners have to eventually make their way over here. So in the natural motion of just spreading cards, there is a logical visual going on where you see corners popping up and moving across. Now, I just want to point that out. Now, if I call a card from the really bad angle, and hopefully we'll get a bad one. I want you to see a really bad call, not an absurdly bad one. Like an absurdly bad one would be something like this, right, where I take the card and I move it all the way. But even that, look, I just want to point something out. Even that, really bad. This card has been called, and you can see it moving all the way over here. It belongs over here. This is where everything's going. The issue is not whether or not the card is seen going over there. The issue is actually this visual right here. That's the problem. Calling out, meaning pointing out that you see a corner jut from the top over is totally irrelevant. Fact, observable fact, because that's what cards do. That is really the act of spreading. The issue is noticing a separation between the card that is called and seeing it tucked then underneath other cards. That's really the problem. So just at the face value, this accusation about seeing something happen with the corner of the card moving over to the top, which honestly, I don't see it in the video that you were looking at. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe you saw it at one point, but it certainly wasn't a theme. Someone else commented on there, oh, yes, sloppy, very sloppy, right? I don't, come on, people. Quit acting like you're on an internet forum, right? This is not out of the ordinary to see cards moving from here to here and seeing corners. Even if you cull very, very poorly, you can see the culled card right there. And you can see it's actually still sitting, even though it's out of place. It's sitting underneath these cards. It obviously can't take up the space by which it is going over cards or under cards out of place. It can stay right there, even for the rest of the cull, as long as you don't see this moment, where I start to see other cards that were under it tucking over top. That is the problem. Okay, that's it. That's really my big issue there. Now, I will say this. If you're going to do a cull in such a situation where you're pointing out that you can see the ace of clubs in the middle of the deck, and you can see that it remains there as I go. Obviously, in this moment, I don't want anybody to see that ace come out of form. I don't want anyone to see that goes way out of the way, even though they can't necessarily logically understand what's going on, that unless they have incredible spatial reasoning skills. Thinking about what's going on the underside of this spread is really out of sight, out of mind. It's an unknown to most people, even very intelligent people, right? You don't want them to see that card of focus coming out. But if I'm doing a situation, if I'm spreading and I'm saying you can see that all of the cards are mixed, right? It does not matter that they see things go out of place because there is no focus. There's no matter of focus right now. There's nothing in particular. They don't know that I am calling the fives You see I'm on my next one. And now that I pointed out, you know I'm culling the 5s, right? There's no contextual focus in that situation. So really, you have a great deal of latitude to be as sloppy as you darn well please. It doesn't really matter, right? There's no understanding of anything going on. First of all, there's no context for the possibility of pulling something out of spread and putting it on the top. There's just no spatial reasoning capability looking at the spread from this direction, right? It just isn't, it's not something anyone would think about. And even when you tell someone about the move and then you do the move, they still can't necessarily see it in their mind's eye, right? Contextually, they don't know about the move, but then additionally, contextually, they don't know that anything is going to happen because there's no focus. The focus is very general. It's on the idea that the cards are in no particular order. It's not on a group of cards. It's only in watching the video and seeing the outcome of it that one would understand, going back, rewinding in a visual retrospect, in that visual hindsight, understanding, they had to get control of those aces. I know about the Hofzinser spread call, therefore I can spot where that's happening. Now I give someone like Richard a whole lot more credit than that. Obviously they could see the possibility of a Hofzinser spread call coming from a mile away, but he's a magician, right? I'm not performing for magicians. I'm just not. I'm not. There's a lot of people out there that they're very critical of their own magic, and they want to make sure that their magic is for everybody, including magicians. They want to try to find methods and approaches that will just fool everybody. They're out to fool everybody. It doesn't matter who they are. Good for them. Good for them. But that's not me. That's not my concern, right? If someone knows my magic and they call it out and they can understand it, or at least they recognize it, I'm not too worried about that. I'm not too worried about a fellow magician understanding what I'm doing. I'm just not. Right? There's a lot of professionals out there that do magic that other magicians know. That's not our bar here. That's not our standard. Now, a few more things here before we depart. So that's my deal, is that there's a contextual use of the Hofzinser spread call. It really doesn't have to be entirely clean. The Jerks did a write-up of a spread call product that I have out there, right? Magic Bullet. It's for sale in Penguin. It's well reviewed and it's got a lot of good business, right, out of that since it went out a couple of years ago, I think now. He reviewed it and very frankly said the things I'm saying, right? He says, well, the common magician, Carl, he's not a terribly, gifted sleight of hand artist. That's not what I am. And I say absolutely, I don't claim to be. I don't claim to be in my call product either. And he recognizes in the write-up that the spread call is something that is quite burnable even when done passively, just done, in an acceptable manner, in a very baseline acceptable manner, which again is my point. That's why I made the product, and that's why I advocate for the move. Most of the magic that I do is moveless. You're not going to come to this channel and find me teaching you complex moves. I don't use them. I just don't do them. I don't have time for that. I make a living doing other things. I don't make a living on my magic. I'm a conservatory musician. I know what the practice room regimen is like. I know what it's like to spend 4 hours in a day on a craft until you just can't do it anymore and you have to stop until the next day. I went through that. I know what that's like. I know the work ethic that's involved in getting very good at performing something. My magic doesn't fit that particular kind of mold because of the magic I choose to do, not because of my philosophy on doing magic. Obviously, if you're going to be doing very difficult sleights that have to be burnable and are accomplishing very complex things and they have to look super clean, you're going to need to spend 4 hours a day working on that. But I don't do that kind of stuff. And I remove the spread call as a utility from that type of magic, and I say it's much more common than some people give it credit. And certainly on the Genie forum than they gave it credit for. Again, people are going to disagree with me. They're going to flame me and rip me apart and whatever. But I make up your own mind on it. You see my argument about what a real spread looks like in the geography of cards, and you can see what is the telltale thing going on there. It's not the fact that you see the card move. The telltale sign is that you see the card actually out of place in stack, that you see breaks where they don't belong. That being said, without moving the camera again, that being said, really, if you're showing a deck in no particular order, deck's been shuffled, I take it, I can just as easily just cut at a card, spread on top, right, and then take the card really in a culling motion, just take one card by itself, spread on top. Like, I can do that kind of thing openly, and that's sufficient. You don't even really need to do a spread call. The spread call is just kind of a little cherry on top that makes things a little bit more streamlined and less broken up. But you can do open moves in call cards easily. You don't have to necessarily do that move, right? Again, the geography of what's going on behind the spread is kind of out of sight, out of mind, no matter what you're doing. People see this, and they're computing what they see here. They don't compute what they see back here. They don't see that. I don't know if I can find a good analogy for it, right? Everyone can write their name. Everyone can write their name. And what they're seeing when you do this, it's like writing one's name or writing a word out in cursive, right? But not everyone could just instantly take a pen and put it on the other side and write their name, right? Or write their name in reverse, or write their name upside down. That's the kind of geography we're talking about. The business is happening in a location that is not conceptually accessible to the spectator, even a very smart one, even a very good one. Now, magicians know this, of course, but not a typical situation. It is contextually not available to them. And that's why my call is just fine. Thank you very much. Good luck with that. Happy magicking.